Hello, Starry Snuggler. Tonight's story is about a pair of pajamas that didn't just keep a child warm. They lit up gently in the dark and carried them into the softest dreams. In a little dresser folded neatly between cozy shirts and socks lay a pair of very special pajamas. They looked like ordinary sleepwear, dark blue with tiny silver dots. But when the lights turned off and the room grew still, something magical happened. The silver dots began to sparkle. Not like glitter, not like fireflies, but soft, slow flickers like stars sighing in the dark. A child named Juna discovered them one chilly evening. She pulled them on and they felt just right, warm at the toes, soft at the collar, and light as a whisper. As she lay down, her covers tucked around her, the pajamas began to shimmer. And then the stars on her pajamas slowly lifted, floating like glowing dust. Juna felt her body relax, and suddenly she was drifting. The pajamas weren't just clothes, they were a ship, a starship. She sailed through skies made of velvet, past sleepy clouds and blinking planets. Comets waved hello, and shooting stars twirled in slow, dreamy circles. Her ship made no sound, only a faint hum, like a lullaby wrapped in moonlight. Juna didn't steer. The pajamas knew the way. They carried her to places no one else had ever dreamed, gardens of quiet giggles, lakes of shimmering light, and floating beds of cloud-soft pillows. And when her dream was done, the pajamas gently brought her back to bed, just in time for the morning light to peek through the window. The sparkles faded, but Juna always woke up with the feeling that something magical had happened. And each night, when she put on her starry pajamas, she smiled, ready to fly again. Tonight, when you slip into bed, imagine your pajamas glowing quietly, ready to carry you somewhere beautiful. Good night. Hello, soft sleeper. Tonight's story is about a bell, small and silver, that made no sound in the day, but rang gently only inside dreams. In a little shop at the end of a cobblestone street, there sat a dusty wooden shelf filled with forgotten things. Among old books, feather pens, and glass bottles was a tiny silver bell. It had no string, no clapper, and when you shook it during the day, it made no sound at all. But at night, when the shop was closed, the stars were out, and the moonlight crept across the wooden floor, the bell began to shimmer softly. Because this bell had a secret. It only rang in dreams. When children closed their eyes and the world became quiet, the bell would ring, not loudly, but gently, like a note made of moonlight and air. Ding! That sound would float into the dreams of little ones, and wherever they were, in a sky made of bubbles, or on a train made of marshmallows. They would hear it. The bell wasn't just a sound, it was a signal. When the bell rang, dream doors opened. Trees whispered bedtime secrets. Clouds shaped themselves into cuddly animals. Tunnels of stars appeared, leading to new adventures. But the bell didn't just lead the way, it also kept dreamers safe. If a dream ever felt too twisty, if the wind blew too loud, or the colors turned too wild, the bell would ring again. Ding! And everything would calm, the dreams would slow, the lights would dim, the stars would hold your hand. By morning, the bell would stop ringing, its shine would fade, and it would wait, quietly, patiently, for night to fall once more. So tonight, if your dreams feel soft and still, and you hear a tiny sound that feels like peace, that's the bell, just for you. Good night.
Hello again, gentle dreamer.
Tonight's story is about a special rocking chair, one that didn't just sway back and forth, but lifted off the ground when the world got very quiet. In a quiet house, in a quiet room, sat an old wooden rocking chair. It was smooth from years of use, with arms worn down by gentle hands and a cushion that sighed softly when someone sat down. Everyone in the family loved the chair, but no one knew its secret. Except Grandma. Each evening, after the sun set and the windows turned dark, Grandma would sit in a chair with a warm blanket and a little one in her arms. She would rock slowly, back and forth, back and forth, and just when the child's eyes began to close, the chair would lift just a little, just enough for the floor to disappear beneath it. The room would stay the same, lamp glowing, clock ticking softly, air warm and still, but the chair floated silently, carrying its sleepy passengers into the sky of dreams. They never noticed when it happened, but as the stars blinked above, the chair would drift, past rooftops with yawning cats, above clouds shaped like storybook creatures, beside owls that waved with one sleepy wing. Sometimes it floated through entire dream cities, where buildings whispered lullabies and the streets were made of quiet light. The child never woke. The blanket never slipped. Grandma just kept rocking, back and forth, back and forth. And when it was time, the chair would gently float back down, landing with a soft shh on the wooden floor. No bumps, no noise, just peace. By morning, the chair looked as it always had, still, worn, waiting. But Grandma knew. The child knew too, deep down. That rocking chair wasn't just furniture. It was a dream ship with wooden arms and a heart full of quiet. Tonight, if you hear a creaking in the night, maybe a chair is rocking, just enough to carry someone into a dream. Sleep tight, little one. Good night. Hello, little dreamer. Tonight's story is about a tiny raindrop who didn't want to fall like the others, but wanted to stay and watch the world sleep. High up in the clouds, a small raindrop named Remy was born. All around him, other raindrops were excited. They bounced and sparkled, ready to jump down to earth. But Remy, he wasn't sure. "Why do we have to fall so fast?" he asked. "To bring water to flowers," one drop said. "To fill rivers," shouted another. But Remy looked down and saw soft lights in little houses, chimneys sleeping, and rooftops glowing from the moon. He didn't want to rush. He wanted to stay a little longer and watch how the world fell asleep. So while the others dove down in silver streaks, Remy floated slowly, drifting like a feather in the wind. He paused above a quiet town, just over a sleepy bedroom window. Inside, a child was tucked under a starry blanket, breathing softly. Remy leaned closer to the glass, listening to the calm, watching the soft rise and fall of tiny breaths. And then he did something no raindrop had ever done. He stopped falling. He hovered gently in the air and whispered to the window, "Sleep well, little one. I'll watch the night with you." All night long, Remy stayed, a tiny glimmer outside the window, guarding the dream world from above. When morning came, the sun touched Remy with golden warmth, and with a he finally let go, sliding gently down the glass like a kiss from the sky. Maybe tonight a raindrop is waiting outside your window too. Not to fall, but to stay a little longer and make sure your dreams are safe. Good night, little one. Hello, little dream walker. Tonight's story is about a path that didn't lead through forests or over hills, but through dreams made of soft silver light, where every step glowed beneath your feet. In a town where lanterns dimmed one by one as bedtime came, a girl named Mira loved to take little walks in her dreams. She didn't run, she didn't fly, she simply walked, slowly and gently. But what made her walks special were the footsteps. Each time she took a step in her dream, a soft moonlit print would appear beneath her. Not heavy or loud, just a quiet shimmer, a glowing oval that faded gently behind her as she moved forward. The ground didn't matter, whether she walked through gardens of pillows, over floating bridges made of yarn, or across lakes that rippled like silver silk. Her footsteps always left a trail of light. One night, Mira noticed something curious. When she looked back, someone else was following her path. Not to chase, not to scare, just to follow. Quietly, comfortably. It was a small boy, maybe a little younger than her, with big eyes and a gentle smile. "I saw your footprints," he said. "They made me feel safe." Mira smiled. "Then walk with me," she said. From that night on, others began to follow too. Sleepy children with blinking eyes and yawns in their voices, all walking together gently on a path lit not by lamps or stars, but by moonlight footsteps made by dreams. No one rushed, no one led. They just walked, slowly, through a dreamscape that welcomed them like a lullaby. And when it was time to rest, the footsteps led each of them back to their own beds, where their blankets waited and pillows good night. Tonight, as you fall asleep, imagine each breath as a step, each heartbeat a soft glow beneath you, and let your dreams show you the way. Good night. Hi there, sleepy toes. Tonight's story is about a staircase made not of wood or stone, but of marshmallows, and it only appears when you are truly ready for bed. In a small, peaceful village where dreams floated like dandelion seeds, there was a legend whispered among children. When your body grows still and your eyes get heavy, a staircase made of marshmallows will appear just for you. No one had seen it during the day. It only appeared at night, and only for those who were ready to sleep. One such night, a little girl named Lenny yawned a very big yawn. She had brushed her teeth, put on her coziest pajamas, and cuddled up with her pillow. But before her eyes closed, she noticed something odd in the corner of her room. A soft step, then another, then more. Each one was fluffy, white, and slightly glowing. They stacked gently upward, reaching into the air like a soft, glowing ladder of clouds. Lenny slipped out of bed and gently placed one foot on the first step. It didn't squish too much, just enough to feel cozy. With every step she climbed, the world grew quieter. She heard whispers of lullabies in the air. She felt her body grow lighter, not sleepy tired, just floaty. The marshmallow steps led her past a window where owls blinked slowly, past trees with closed eyes, past clouds that sighed. When she reached the very top, there wasn't a door, there wasn't a room, just a big soft bed waiting in the stars. Lenny climbed into it and sank deep, deeper, until she felt weightless. The stars above blinked kindly. The air hummed like a hug. A soft voice whispered, "You've climbed the marshmallow steps. Now rest." Lenny smiled, closed her eyes, and drifted into the gentlest dream. And when morning came, she woke up in her own bed, warm, rested, and full of wonder. Maybe tonight, if you're very still and very ready, you'll see your first marshmallow step appear. Close your eyes now They only come when you're ready. Good night. Hello, tiny traveler. Tonight's story is about a pair of magical mittens, not for keeping warm from the cold, but for catching beams of moonlight and turning them into dreams. In a quiet town where the rooftops sparkled with frost and stars, lived a boy named Arlo. One chilly evening, as he got ready for bed, his grandmother handed him a pair of mittens. They were silver and soft, almost glowing under the lamplight. "These," she said with a wink, "are moonlight mittens. Only wear them when you're ready to dream." Arlo smiled, but didn't quite understand. That night, as the moon rose full and bright, he slipped the mittens on. They felt cool at first, like snow that didn't melt, and then suddenly, warm! The tips of his fingers tingled. He held his hands up toward the window, where the moonlight poured in like gentle silver rain. And when the light touched the mittens, something wonderful happened. It stuck! The moonlight clung to the mittens like threads of glowing yarn, wrapping around his fingers, sparkling and soft. Arlo closed his eyes and began to float. Not in his body, but in his dreams. With the mittens guiding him, he glided across glowing fields of night flowers that bloomed in silence. He climbed silver ladders that reached up into the stars. He waved to owls that carried soft lanterns, and high above him, moon whales swam through the sky, their tails leaving trails of lullaby dust. The mittens never let go. They kept him warm. They lit his way. They turned every quiet corner of the dream world into something safe and full of wonder. By morning, Arlo woke up smiling. The mittens lay folded beside his pillow, no longer glowing, but somehow still special. From that day on, each night when the moon appeared, Arlo reached for his moonlight mittens and let them carry him gently into sleep. Tonight, if the moonlight touches your room, pretend you have mittens made of silver and stars. Let them guide you into the softest dreams. Good night. Hello again, little dreamer. Tonight's story is about a tiny cloud who drifted far across the sky, but was so sleepy it forgot to rain. High above the fields and forest floated a little cloud named Puff. He was round and soft, fluffier than cotton, lighter than a whisper. All the other clouds had jobs. Some rumbled with thunder, some poured heavy rain, and others painted sunsets with color. But Puff was still new. His job was simple. Just float and give the earth a gentle sprinkle. But there was one small problem. Puff loved to nap. Every time he got ready to rain, he yawned. And when he yawned, his drizzle paused. Then his eyes got droopy. Then his raindrops curled up like little pillows. And before he knew it, he was asleep again. One evening, the sky turned orange and quiet. The flowers below waited with thirsty petals, and the birds tilted their heads, wondering where the rain had gone. Puff tried his best. He stretched wide, puffed up, and whispered, "Okay, now I'll sprinkle, just a little." But instead, he drifted gently over a hill, snuggled into the breeze, and fell asleep again. Down below, a little girl named Ava looked up. She smiled at the floating fluff and said, "Don't worry, Cloud, you can rain another day." She filled a cup with water and gave it to the flowers herself. And Puff, way up in the sky, dreamed of soft puddles and fields full of giggles. Tonight, if the rain doesn't come, maybe a sleepy cloud like Puff is just taking a gentle nap above your window. Sleep well, little one. Good evening, peaceful heart. Tonight's story is about a lamp. Not one you turn on with a switch, but one that glowed only when your mind and heart were quiet. In a quiet bedroom with soft blue walls and a window full of stars, there sat a small round lamp on a little table. It didn't have a button. It didn't hum or blink. But when the room was calm, the lamp would glow. The lamp's name was Lumi. It had lived there for many years, watching over the children who came and went. It didn't need batteries. It didn't need to be plugged in. It only needed peace. Lumi didn't glow during loud stories or fast games. It stayed dark during stomping feet or bouncy laughter. But when someone sat quietly, or took a deep breath, or whispered a bedtime wish, Lumi would shine. Not brightly, just enough to make the room feel soft and safe. One evening, a girl named Nora was feeling restless. She tossed and turned. She huffed and puffed. The room stayed dark. She looked at Lumi and said, "Why won't you light up tonight?" Lumi, of course, said nothing. But Nora remembered what her mother once told her. The lamp only glows when your heart slows. So Nora tried something different. She closed her eyes. She breathed in slowly. 1, 2, 3, and out. 1, 2, 3. She thought of quiet things. A floating leaf, a sleeping kitten, a cloud wrapped in a blanket. And just like that, softly, Lumi began to glow. It wasn't magic, it was calm. The soft light filled the room, hugging the shadows and kissing the ceiling. Nora smiled and whispered, "Thank you." She drifted into sleep with the gentle light beside her. From that night on, whenever she felt too wiggly or wild, she would sit still, close her eyes, and wait for Lumi's glow. Not as a reward, but as a reminder. Calm lives inside us, and sometimes it just needs the quiet to shine. So tonight, before sleep comes, try something soft, a deep breath, a quiet thought, a moment of stillness. Who knows? Maybe something inside you will start to glow too. Good night. Hello, little listener. Tonight's story is about a tiny cloud, soft and shy, who floated high above the world, but didn't want to rain because it loved watching the dreams below. High up in the sky, far above the rooftops and trees, floated a cloud named Nilo. Nilo was the smallest cloud in the sky, puffy and white, like a scoop of sleepy whipped cream. All the other clouds had jobs. Some made shade, some brought snow, and others, the big gray ones, rumbled with thunder and let the rain fall. But Nilo didn't want to rain, not even a drop. When the wind asked why,
Nilo said. "I don't want to wake the dreamers below. I like watching them sleep." Because each night, as the stars came out and the towns grew still, Nilo would float low and gentle, peeking through windows and garden trees. He'd see children curled up under blankets, stuffed animals tucked under arms, eyes fluttering as dreams began to bloom. Sometimes he saw giggles in their sleep, other times soft sighs. Once, a little boy whispered, "Hello, cloud," and Nilo felt his heart grow fluffy with joy. The other clouds didn't understand. "Rain is important," they said. "It helps flowers grow." But Nilo believed dreams help little hearts grow too. So instead of raining, Nilo learned to do something else. He gently drizzled dream mist. Not wet, not cold, just a touch of sparkle in the air to make dreams sweeter. It felt like a kiss from the sky. And soon, the flowers still grew. The dreams grew too. And the other clouds began to smile at Nilo when they passed. They didn't try to change him anymore. Because sometimes being soft is the strongest thing you can be. Tonight, if your window feels a little cooler, a little softer, maybe Nilo is floating by, watching over your dream and wishing you good night.